When I was 17 years old, I thought I had everything figured out. I was on my way to college, about to play a college sport. I knew what job I wanted after college, until one day, everything changed. I was in a horrible car accident, to say the least. It was like any other day. Me and a couple buddies were hanging out. It was really hot. We were like, man, we gotta go for a swim. So we drove over, normal day. I was sitting in the front seat when suddenly we were struck by a vehicle going 70 miles per hour. Upon impact, my seatbelt failed. My head went through the passenger side window. My left arm followed. As our car flipped, I was thrown 55 feet through the air. When I hit the ground, everything went black. When I regained consciousness, I was pinned underneath the car with the tire resting on my face. I couldn't help but fight to breathe. I continued to spit out blood and glass, and I couldn't feel my legs. After what felt like a lifetime, the EMTs arrived and rushed me to the emergency room. When I arrived there, it was like a scene out of a TV show or a movie. It was chaotic. I was rushed right into a CT scan to diagnose what was wrong with me. I was diagnosed as having 16 breaks in my pelvis, 2 in my sacrum, and internal bleeding that was slowly killing me. I remember laying on a table with countless doctors and nurses all working on different parts of me. When the head surgeon came up to me and said, "Son, we're gonna have to perform surgery to save your life." It was in this moment that I realized that everything I thought was in store for my future was a figment of my imagination. I went into surgery, and hours later I was considered stable. I had won the battle with man's greatest fear, death. But there was going to be a long road to recovery. I was going to have to spend 4 to 6 months in a wheelchair and over 12 months of physical therapy. Being 18 and lying on the table when a surgeon tells you that you're fighting for your life, can you imagine what that must feel like? It was terrifying. I was a helpless child. As I was lying there in the hospital, reminiscing over what just happened and contemplating my future, I got a call. My brother was coming in to visit me. He knew that this transition of me being an athlete and an outdoorsman was going to be tough for me in a wheelchair. So he brought a gift. The gift was a GoPro. He thought it would be great if I channeled my energy into creative energy. This changed my life, not only because I had just won a fray with death, but because I just undiscovered a hidden passion, a passion for storytelling. Before I knew it, I was telling stories of everything: my friends, my families, my Christmas parties, and even the baseball team. In fact, my college found my baseball video, ended up hiring me and buying the video. When I realized I could make some money, I was like, yes, let's go. I'm in. But I knew I needed to get a lot better. So I turned to the internet, this beautiful thing we have at our fingertips. We can learn almost anything from it. Before I knew it, I spent countless hours watching tutorials, how to color, how to edit. But my favorite thing to do was to watch professional videos. One day, I came across a video. It looked similar to this. And I could not figure out for the life of me how it was filmed. At first, you thought, it was low to the water. Maybe it was somebody on a boat. And suddenly, it starts to rise. And before I knew it, it was in the clouds. Well, after some research, I found out that it was a drone. It looked similar to like this. However, at this point in time, drones were not a household name. This was a quadcopter. I found one online and I was like, yes, let's get this. I have no money, but I'm gonna eat McDonald's for the rest of my life, it seems like. I was excited about the perspective I was gonna be able to share and show, But really, I think what I loved about it was rooted deeply inside me. The fact that I was stationary and bedridden for the previous 4 months, and this device allowed me to be free and fly and see whatever I wanted. I had so many big plans on what I was going to film, but I knew that this wasn't only going to benefit me. I thought that this could benefit other people and other businesses. At first, I thought about what used a helicopter and what other businesses had benefited from this angle. As you can see here, this is a golf course filmed with a helicopter, and this angle helps golfers play the course, right? I'm not a great golfer, so I need all the help I can get. But you can see the positioning of the sand and the fairway. There were only 2 problems with this technology. The first one being that it was tremendously expensive, in the upwards of $25,000 to film a course. And secondly, it was dangerous. You were putting someone's life in harm's way, so they were obviously not going to fly too low to the ground. My thought was to replace the helicopter with a low-cost alternative in a drone. Well, being 18, extremely naive, I may have made up a fake email, Skyfly Tours 2014. Not sure why I added the year there, but I did. I emailed every course in Maine, and I called every course until I finally got a meeting. The day of the meeting, I skipped Western Civ. Sorry, Mom. I put some gel in my hair, and I put on the same suit I wore to prom. And I showed up to the meeting, and I'm looking this guy dead in the eye, and he's just looking at me like, what are you doing, man? You're 18. Like, why are you trying to be so serious? And I look at him dead serious, and I say, I can revolutionize the way we film golf courses. And he just started chuckling. He's like, yeah, okay. So he's like, okay, how? And I told him my story and my idea. At this point in time, he didn't know that I hadn't even received my drone yet, and I had never flown one. Long story short, we walked out of that meeting with the paper signed. We had our first client. A couple days later, I finally got my drone in the mail, and I'll tell you, the learning curve was steep. I crashed it more times than I had successful flights. But eventually, we successfully filmed a golf course. Look at me back then, skinny man. And I was so excited about the product and the final videos that I went straight to the golf course. I always loved showing people my videos in person so I could see their reaction. Well, the owner of this course was a 75-year-old man, and he had worked on the course previously before inheriting it for almost 50 years. So you can tell like the amount of blood and work and sweat that he put into this. And you're probably not going to believe me, but when I actually showed him the video, it brought tears to his eyes. That's how passionate he was about his craft and his course and all of the work he put in. I cried a little bit too, but leave that out. I knew that this was the moment when I really, really, really felt passionate about something. I knew that I loved helping people, and I loved working with people that were also so passionate about what they were doing. Since then, my company has filmed resorts, golf courses, weddings, promotional videos all over the world, and my passion has allowed me to do this. But I want to leave you guys with a lesson I learned along the way. It took me lying in bed, fighting for my life, faced with man's worst fear, to realize that there's fundamental blocks that stop us from pursuing our passion. These blocks are the fear of risk, rejection, and failure. But they're within. They're minor, invisible barriers that stop you from doing what you should and want. You don't have to be in a serious accident fighting for your life to realize this. You just have to remember that beyond these fears lie tremendous opportunity. Thank you.